Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to today's Scrum Pulse. I'm Lindsay Velasina here with Scrum.org. And today I'm super excited for the topic of psychological safety. Joanna Plaskonka, one of our PSTs based in Poland, is here to share some really interesting insights and ideas and tools for you all to use with your teams. So let's get started quick with some very short housekeeping items. Joanna, if you can proceed to the next slide, that would be great. Okay, some very quick guidelines here. You'll notice that your microphone is muted. However, we do want you to participate and ask questions. So please utilize the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And that will be where we'll be capturing any questions that you have for Joanna. If you have comments or technical issues, or just want to share some thoughts, please add those into the chat. We want to keep the questions for Joanna regarding the content separate from the chat so that we can capture those afterward. And then if there are questions that we don't get to, we'll be able to refer to them later and figure out a way to get those addressed. So if you can follow those guidelines, that would be great. Okay, so next slide. So who is Scrum.org? So we are the home of Scrum, and we were founded by Ken Schwaber back in 2009. Our mission is to help people and teams solve complex problems, and we do so through our training, ongoing learning, certification, and we hope that today's session plays an important part in that ongoing learning piece. I did see a few comments. I want to stop for a second about the volume not working. I believe it is working, but I know that Zoom recently rolled out some updates. So if you could check your personal settings and make sure that your settings are okay, that should help. But yeah, I know that there were some updates recently, so I apologize for that. So with that, I am going to pass this over to Joanna to introduce herself and kick off this exciting discussion about psychological safety.
Okay.
Welcome,
thank you so
Joanna.
much. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, everyone, for feedback. It's really appreciated. We will talk about this feedback too today. But before we deep dive into the topic of psychological safety, let me say a few words about myself. So as you already know, my name is Joanna Plaskonka. I'm Polish. I live in Poland. And I'm wearing different hats. One of my favorite ones are related to crocheting and mushroom foraging. So I love spending my free time outside. However, today I'm bringing different hats to this conversation. So I'm welcoming you as a professional Scrum trainer, so the trainer accredited and certified by Scrum.org. But also I'm bringing my expertise when it comes to Agile Kata as a professional Agile Kata trainer, certified action learning coach, and connected to the topic of our today's webinar, team psychological safety certified practitioner. So a lot of words. And with this webinar, on one hand, I would love to explain to you the idea of psychological safety in general, but I also have some great insights, thoughts, inspirations. How does it connect with our knowledge and experience related to Scrum and agility? And that will be my second important topic for you for today. So what we can take out of that, is it important? To what extent? What we can learn from psychological safety topic in the context of Scrum teams. So let's get started. Imagine that you have to decide which team, which medical team is going to take care of one of your beloved ones. So I can imagine it is an important decision for you, right? So who should be this person, this team in charge of the health of a very important person for you? And here is what you have. you have two teams, Team A and Team B. And what you know is that historically, Team A was reporting less errors, less medical errors, while Team B was reporting more. There was a significant difference between numbers of errors reported. So the question is, which team, just having this information, which team you would choose? Team A? Team B? Any guesses? Any ideas? What type of errors? Medical errors. Okay, it depends. Thank you, Rick. The best answer ever, right? It depends. Stefano is saying Team A, same Rachel, Team A. Depends. More errors, Michał is saying. Okay, Team B, Team A. Okay. We have different answers, right? But I feel like there is a lot of it depends, and also Team A is a quite strong candidate, right? Okay, and somebody is pointing out a very important topic. How honest, or using Scrum vocabulary, how transparent is Team A about those errors? I would love to add one more layer on the top of that. So it turns out that if you ask about, but which team is more successful when it comes to helping people, so speaking, using our vocabulary from evidence-based management, which team is producing better outcomes, it turns out it's Team B. Why? Let me use some of your words. Errors are great learning experiences. And I use the word reporting on purpose. So we will go back to that example, but before we connect it with definitions and understanding, what does it mean for us? Let's talk about general introduction to our topic. So that's a very typical question that I hear. So what it takes to thrive in a complex, uncertain world, right? Maybe you heard different acronyms. So for instance, VUCA world, right? We have a lot of disruptors, right? Things that are changing our landscape, our career landscape, our product landscape, AI agent solutions, etc. So, well, more than 20 years ago, some wise people decided to create certain guidelines for us. So we are in short speaking about Agile Manifesto. Let me remind you some kind of wisdom that I believe is coming back to me, and it should come back to all of us quite often. Agile Manifesto starts with individuals and interactions over processes and tools. So I tend to say quite often when I talk to my customers, when I conduct professional Scrum trainings, the quality of interactions and what happens on the team and between teams can affect a lot our product, its quality, and generally the value that we are delivering. So if it is so important, okay, so teams, interactions should be something that we always think of. So on the high level, we have this wisdom already on the plate. So if you ask yourself, so if teams are so important and we've learned that it's difficult to possess all the knowledge and skills, in many cases to build a complex product, we need those specialists. So how from just a team create high performing team? So the team that is delivering effectively great results, great outcomes. And this topic was studied heavily. The first person that I want to mention here, maybe it's somebody new for you, but after that webinar, I want you to remember that name, is Professor Amy Edmondson. The other important group of people who've been studying this topic what does it take to create high-performing team, were researchers from the company Google. I don't know if you've heard about this company. Maybe you had a chance or not. But anyway, they were interested why some of their teams are fantastic, amazing, high performing, and some of them are worse. There is a difference. So what we should take into account, what is this ingredient, this factor that may differentiate that? And the answer is actually in the title of our today's webinar. It turned out that psychological safety was proven through research done by Google, and was also proven by a longer research conducted by Professor Amy Edmondson. This ingredient may change a lot. How? Let's take a look at what does it mean to have high psychological safety. What does it mean generally to speak about psychological safety? So let's start with myths, some misunderstanding related to our topic. So some people believe that psychological safety is for us to feel like we are in our comfort zone, right? So if you've heard that we have to take care of psychological safety because it's well-being of employees, and we have to do so that they are always happy, they are always satisfied, right? Everyone is smiling all the time, and the answer is no. Okay. Of course, there are some important elements here. So let me just remind you 5 Scrum values supported by trust. In those values, there's no information be nice, right? But it says be focused, right? Be courageous, be open, be respectful, be committed, right? So definitely it's not about being nice. However, how we feel about certain things will be important in the context of psychological safety. If you are also looking for some misunderstandings or myths related to Scrum, maybe some of you heard the concept of fluffy Scrum. So we are having games. Scrum Master's main job is to help everyone happy. And when they are not happy, Scrum Master is doing a bad job, right? Or product owner is too pushy. Maybe we should talk to them. So definitely, it's not a correct behavior. This is not the right expectation. And we are not aiming at this kind of feeling, like it's nice, it's playful. It's great if we are able to have fun, smile together, but it's not the point. Another misunderstanding is that I've heard that, okay, some people are neurodivergent, some have some preference, they are quite quiet. So some people naturally have high psychological safety, and some have low level of psychological safety. So no, it's not a personality factor. It's not related to our neurodivergence or any other element. Of course, those things will be important, right? But when we think about psychological safety, I love the metaphor, and I wanted to depict it here with this picture of the air. Okay, so psychological safety is like the air. We are breathing in that air. So the team that is sitting together in the physical or remote room, right? They share this air. So if it is a good quality air, it affects positively everyone, no matter what is your preference when it comes to communication, building connections, etc. And at the same time, if just one person brings today, I don't know, I love eating raw veggies, including onions and including garlic. So imagine what happens when I have a sandwich with garlic, right? Well, now everyone can feel garlic in the air. So this is how I love to speak about psychological safety. It's the air that we all breathe in. There is a quite nice and I believe strong similarity between psychological safety and trust, but one of the things that I would love to emphasize is trust can be perceived on different levels. For instance, you can trust one person from your team that they will do the right job. You trust them so that you can share any errors, any doubts, any problems, but maybe you don't trust another colleague or you don't trust your boss sufficiently to tell them everything. When it comes to psychological safety, we are speaking about this air that I already explained. So it's something that is shared by the group. Another quite interesting myth, a misconception here, is that when we say psychological safety, we actually accept lowering performance standards. And that's definitely not true. It's actually the opposite. So this is our first tool that I would love to propose for you to use. Tool for self-reflection, tool for understanding where you are with your team. And here we have two aspects. So on one hand, low standards and high standards, and the other is related to a level of psychological safety. So as you can see, where we actually want to land with our team is high psychological safety combined with high standards. So this is what Professor Amy Edmondson is calling learning and high performance zone, right? So for complex problems, right? So problems that are quite common for our Scrum teams, this is the ideal situation. So we want to avoid anxiety, apathy, and comfort zone, because this comfort will not help us move forward. We may not feel motivated. We may not feel this urge to achieve high results. What we want to have both high standards and high psychological safety. I've heard, actually, I read from Rick, I believe. The Fearless Organization. Yes, this is also a very important book for you. So I would love to recommend that book if this topic is interesting for you. So one of the most important books that we have available in the market that speaks about the topic of psychological safety. So let's reveal, right? Because we talked what it is not. So how we should think about psychological safety. I have a very important question for you. So typically, do you wake up in the morning and you are excited to go to work and prove your colleagues that you are ignorant, incompetent, disruptive, bringing problems, causing harm? Is it your intention typically in the morning? Yes, no? No. Oh, no, with exclamation mark. Sounds like definitely not. No, nope, right? What do we want to do at the job, right? Well, in many cases, we want to do something meaningful, right? It's great when we are able to see that what we do matters, right? Is valuable, is contributing to the success, right? So if you read the book Drive, autonomy, mastery, and purpose, right? What truly motivates us? Well, many of us are looking for meaningful work. Yes, Rick, I have a great assistant today. High five, Rick. So Daniel Pink, Drive, another book worth reading. So you don't have this intention, but seems like sometimes it happens. It happened to me, not once, not twice. I felt like I looked like incompetent person. I asked stupid question, right? Somebody was looking at me like, what are you saying, Joanna, right? Okay. So we call those situations when we can expose ourselves and somebody can judge us, can think in a bad way about us, about our errors, about what we say, about us challenging the idea presented, for instance, by the boss. This is actually a very good example of situation with interpersonal risk taking, right? So what does it mean for us? Whenever we have the situation when we just sit like this person here and we are having this game in our head, should I speak up? Does it make sense to share my concerns? Should I pretend that I haven't made this mistake, right? Or maybe I should speak about it openly. So those conversations happening in your head, this is the situation when you actually are assessing your psychological safety level in your context, and you are thinking whether it's okay to try or maybe it's better to just silence yourself, right? And don't speak. So this is why I believe the topic of psychological safety is non-obvious. Because if somebody is not speaking and is just silent, is it a clear sign that something is wrong? I don't know. Maybe you know, but for me, it's not clear. Sometimes we speak, but not about the most important things. So this is actually that leads us to formal definition of psychological safety. And this is again definition created by Professor Amy Edmondson. So let me emphasize a few elements and one small adjustment that I would love to make here. So a shared belief held by members of a team that the team is safe for interpersonal risk taking. In other words, it is safe to ask a question. It is safe to challenge idea. If I make a mistake, but it was an intelligent mistake, and if you are interested in that, we will talk about those different mistakes soon. So if I feel it's safe and in my head, this option speak up wins, it means that I have high level of psychological safety. So here are keywords for us. Please take a look that I have added team psychological safety to that. And I also wanted to point out shared belief. Okay, so this is this air in the room. Team, we have spoken about the team, right? So excuse me, Scrum team is a very strong candidate for that, right? But if you have other teams, and sometimes we are part of different teams, maybe you have some guilds, maybe you have some different structures, people from typically Scrum teams are working on some additional initiatives, they have common goals and they need to collaborate to make it happen. That's yet another great example of the team that might be facing potential challenges with team psychological safety. So again, we have spoken about interpersonal risk taking. That's our key here. Now, I've also heard that Professor Amy Edmondson, and I think that Fortune is writing about that, is sometimes using the word culture. And what is quite interesting that in the same book and in the same papers related to psychological safety, Professor Amy Edmondson is bringing to us a very important, in my view, inspiration and hope. While we have a lot of topics related to culture. And obviously, when we take a look at that definition, leaders, managers, not only our leader manager, but also their boss, their leader, they can affect significantly team psychological safety. But also because it's on the team level, it means that we can do something inside of our team to improve in that area. So if you are a leader and you are listening to us, please remember that this is opportunity for you to work closely with the team and increase that level. If you are a Scrum Master, that sounds like a really good topic for our great Scrum Masters to help the team achieve higher level of psychological safety. And also, product owner can benefit a lot from psychological safety because learnings, errors, right? Sounds like product discovery, right? Experimentation topics. And also with the right behaviors, product owner can uphold high psychological safety. So as you can see, it is a topic for all of us, right? Even if you are a developer, maybe we have also some developers on that call. If you bring a sandwich with garlic, right? The air will be stinky. Example, if you start laughing at your colleagues, what a poor design. Okay, it was just one joke, right? But I'm sorry, you have just influenced team psychological safety because your team heard that and they started thinking, oh God, this person is saying such things. Maybe I should not show him or her my designs in the future. Or maybe I should ask them to do that, right? Because he or she knows, and I will just sit silently and wait, right? So you see what can happen? Again, it's tough because when you bring real garlic sandwich, and I know what I'm saying because I did it during my studies to my colleagues, I'm sorry, guys. But the problem with psychological safety is sometimes we are not aware what we are doing, but we are actually bringing garlic sandwich to the room. So another simple test, maybe some kind of simple tool that you can use. 3 typical signs of high psychological safety. What you can do with that, take those statements and try to ask yourself if the answer is yes, no, I'm not sure, something in between, right? Based on those answers, you may have your very first insight. Is this topic something that we should consider working on? Or maybe we are good at this moment. So, first sign, if I make a mistake, others will not react badly. And now, please remember, we will talk about it when we will speak about tools that you can use. Not all errors are equal. Here, we are speaking about errors that were difficult to prevent. So, extreme example, if you come to the office drunk, obviously you should call it a day and go back home and say to your colleagues, I'm sorry, I won't be participating. But let's imagine you decided to come to the office drunk. So no, it's not these mistakes that we should say, thank you for bringing mistake, Joanna, right? Don't do that, right? There are certain things when we don't follow quality standards, when we violate our definition of done and we say, it's fine, let's put this not done increment to production, nobody will notice, right? So definitely some of the mistakes require reaction, right? High psychological safety does not mean that you won't be fired. If you behave in a certain way, yes, you can still be fired, I'm sorry. or hired to external company. Sometimes I use this wording. We are here speaking about errors that were difficult to be prevented from. Second point, candor is allowed and expected. Mantra is be open, be honest, but don't act as a bad person. Humiliating somebody is not candor. Again, 5 Scrum values. 5 Scrum values should be your guidance here. And if you act according to Scrum 5 Scrum values, this candor should be clear for you. What does it mean? So if I'm courageous, open, but still respectful, right? And point number 3, I can speak up, offer ideas, offer different point of view, ask a question, and I'm not facing a fear that somebody will say, aha, what a stupid question, Joanna, what you are saying, right? You are stupid because everyone read this article and you haven't, right? So if I don't have this fear and I know that maybe worst case scenario, somebody will just guide me. You know what? Joanna, we think maybe you haven't read the article. We posted that on Slack or on Teams. You were supposed to do that. Okay, please go back to that, right? This is a respectful behavior. But if I'm punished and laughed at, I know that next time when I make a mistake, when I offer a different perspective, different idea, something bad will happen. I have a very strong example from one of the companies I worked with. The leaders asked me directly to challenge their ideas in public. Let me repeat that once again. Dear Joanna, please challenge our ideas in public. And you know what? I think that they were maybe not using psychological safety vocabulary, but they knew that if they want everyone feel invited to challenge them, somebody has to be this very first person. And I helped. I did it a few times. And when others realized that I wasn't punished, and actually even CEO thanked me for pointing something out, people started to realize that maybe actually this is expected, right? So from leaders' point of view, vulnerability, looking for others that can help you with that, is something that, in my experience, can do wonders. So another thing that I want you to remember, so we have 2 C's of psychological safety. It's a really healthy curiosity. Curiosity of the child that is not biased. Somebody will shout at them, will call them stupid, incompetent, and also a very healthy, supported by Scrum values, candor. They work together, and when we combine it, we can also say that this is the essence of what happens when we have high psychological safety. So we spoke a lot generally, and now let's connect it with evidence, with results from research, and what we can actually get if we decide to pay more attention to our team's psychological safety. So first and the most important thing, if you want to sell, if you want to convince someone that this topic might be important for your team, my first point would be performance. So it is proven that when we equip our teams with knowledge, skills, so maybe they attended some classes, maybe they've learned through resources, books, etc. All is great, right? Gaining experience, training on the job. But if we put on the top of those great things, right, we put psychological safety, high level of psychological safety, the teams will most likely have better performance. So they will deliver better results. They will be over time learning how to be a better team. So going back to our example from this medical story, why Team B was better? Because they were reporting errors and consciously reflect on them. So using Scrum vocabulary, their sprint retrospectives were very effective, and thanks to that, they were learning and preventing some of the errors in the future because they were increasing quality. And Professor Amy Edmondson is also mentioning very important and powerful stories. Sometimes we have topics like status, right? So, for instance, a very high qualified surgeon compared to just a surgeon assistant, right? Who will most likely have higher status? Surgeon, he is the boss, right? He knows more, he studied more, but in that case, high psychological safety means we want this surgeon assistant to feel encouraged to challenge behavior or challenge ideas of the surgeon. Of course, it does not mean being, unkind, right? It has to be done in the respectful way. But sometimes when somebody has higher status from our context, how often do you challenge product owners' decisions, dear team members? In a kind, respectful way, right? How often do you challenge your leaders' decisions? How often do you offer different perspective? If not so often, it might be a sign that you have low psychological safety, and there is, in theory, good reason for that, right? This person might have a high status, right? This is something that we should address. Why? Because in the end of the day, if you ask leaders what is the most important on their plate, performance, results, outcomes are one of the most important things. The same applies for product owners. So if we have leaders, product owners in the call, yes, this is topic for you because you want to achieve this state of high psychological safety, enabling those courageous and valuable conversations happening. Another topic, which I absolutely love when I teach people about evidence-based management, experimentation, product discovery. Maybe you are doing those things in your professional environment. So if you want to create better conditions for that, this is where high psychological safety will help you. Example from my experience, I was working with one of the teams that was having a lot of this product discovery. And a result was that a lot of experiments were just giving answers, no, not into that direction. No, not this time. No, it does not work in that context. But there were no actual tangible outcomes when it comes to certain performance indicators of the product for some time. So what we did, we actually changed sprint review format to embrace creativity and learning and to show our stakeholders that what team is doing maybe is not very visible yet. We were working hard towards increasing speed and accuracy of our system, but we have a lot of experiments happening. So just this one change to show that there is an experimentation, there was a purpose of that. And we do it because we don't know so many things and we are looking for answers. So this helped us build a better environment for this team and increase their psychological safety. You can also imagine if you put yourself into the shoes of stakeholders, no results are coming. Is the team doing the right work, right? So that's why sometimes we need to be open for certain changes. Another case is related to problem solving and error reporting. So with low psychological safety, teams might be pretending there are no problems, or maybe they will be reporting errors, problems that are not so important, right? What will be the result for the business, for the product? Well, maybe your user will be actually the tester. You can imagine, I believe, what happens when the users are telling us, hey, your system is not working so well, right? If we want to shift left in this idea of let's test as best as we can earlier, let's face those errors, let's agree on some rework, iterations, etc. High psychological safety can help you with that. Another known benefit is when people will feel safe to speak up, it will affect collaboration in the positive way, right? We will learn more about each other. And for instance, our retrospectives will be no longer about typical topics. Some of them actually might be very challenging for Scrum Master, right? But dear Scrum Masters, I have good news for you. So although maybe high psychological safety will uncover more challenging problems, if you help your team and facilitate this conflict, if you facilitate that discussion effectively and you maintain high psychological safety, actually your team will become better and better. You will be able to build trust. They will know each other better. And another point, there is also connection between job satisfaction and employee engagement. In many situations, high psychological safety will affect those aspects positively. So I promised the tools, right? And we discussed some of the ideas already, directly or indirectly. Let me show you just a bunch of solutions that you can implement even this week to improve your psychological safety. So the first idea is something that, in my experience, is not very popular, although it's something that children are very great at. So kids quite often say, what is that? Why does it work? Mommy, but why moon today is round and in a few days it will look completely different, right? So children tend to ask a lot of questions with curiosity. And I feel like during our learning journeys at universities, at schools, we sometimes forget about this superpower of asking questions, right questions with curiosity. So here you have some inspirations. What does it mean? A powerful question, right? So this question can actually change the air in the room and make it better, put some extra oxygen to the room. It may it may inspire someone. This question can actually open the door for another questions, right? So the first idea is, what if you come to your next meeting, your Scrum event, with intent, what kind of powerful questions I can ask, instead of what kind of information I'm going to share. And fear not, you will share this information anyway, because if others will mimic your behaviors, they will most likely also ask questions. So there will be opportunity for sharing information too. Another tool that is proven to help with psychological safety is action learning. And in action learning, questions are also important, but there is also a certain structure. If you are interested in this topic, I'm happy to share some resources with you. You can also find some videos on my YouTube channel, Scrum with Joanna, because this topic is also very interesting to me. So changing the way how you conduct events, and we have great experience with, for instance, conducting sprint retrospectives as action learning session, or just typical problem solving session replaced by action learning session, can bring a lot of great outcomes. And at the same time, this technique, this method is a proven idea that helps with increasing psychological safety. So I promise also that we are going to talk about errors, and here comes another inspiration. So this is another book by Amy Edmondson, Right Kind of Wrong. And I believe that the title is actually telling us a lot of good stuff. So the science of failing well. So there are some errors that are simply mistakes that we should prevent from happening. It's lack of our commitment to quality. It's not following practices that help us prevent some of the errors. This time maybe we will not go through checklist. We will not verify some of the things. Yeah, maybe in many situations it will all go well, but errors can pop up. So we want to avoid basic errors. There are also some errors that are complex. Good examples are some kind of catastrophes, disasters when we have a plane in the air, something is broken, some other conditions happen, right? Engine stopped working because the bird flew into it, right? So those are really challenging situations, right? Sometimes can actually break the system, right? In our context, it might be error that we were not aware of, certain strange connections, right, in our system, and out of the sudden everything is down. So those complex errors, the complex failures should be treated as opportunities to bring procedures, systems, ideas to prevent them in the future, as compared to basic ones. Basics should be just prevented, right? With right focus on quality and standards. Complex, it can be terrible, it can break a lot. Definitely opportunity to incorporate learnings. Great technique, by the way, for that is related to reflecting on what happened, what can be done, what can be improved. It is called post-mortem. And last one, and this is this one that I hope you will connect with: experimentation, product discovery, and ideas when you are looking for processes, different product ideas, different markets, different maybe new groups, intelligent ones. So what is the purpose of intelligent failure? Learn that something does not work. So this is this kind of failure that we should aim at. And I would love you to use this sheet, right, this part of the presentation, as something that you can talk with your team. Is this error red one, yellow one, or is it a green one, right? So intelligent errors or intelligent failures should be embraced, expected, and this is what we are looking for in the complex environment. How to fail in an intelligent way. Sometimes I call those intelligent ones as those failures that will be failures if we fail to learn. But if we learned that this direction is not right, that was a good failure, right? That was a great learning, using slightly different vocabulary. And when it comes to intelligent errors, there are also some great techniques. One is talk about them, maybe as a routine of some of your events. so that people get used to talking about intelligent errors, sharing learnings, right? More specific idea, huge idea is celebrate intelligent errors. What does it mean? First of all, remember mantra. Intelligent failure is not a bug of learning, it's a feature, right? So QA experts, I hope you know what we are talking about, right? This time it is a feature, it is not a bug. And when I say celebrate, celebrate. Pizza day with errors, party at the office. Because everyone, if you organize a party, people will come. Take those balloons, bring some refreshments, bring pizza, bring cake. They will come and talk about errors and share learnings. So this might be a really nice team building, sharing knowledge activity, but also a way how to embrace intelligent errors is something that we want to see. And then another last technique, which I found really powerful, is called play devil's advocate. So if you don't know the technique, a devil's advocate is a person who is always in the opposite to the group, right? But it can be difficult to teach people to disagree with everyone. That's why we create rotating role of the devil's advocate. You can even buy this stuff. It might be great, you know. Sometimes I put different things, you know. I have my, you know, special Muppet, right? You can buy something, those horns, right, for this person. And this week, Joanna is our devil's advocate. What does it mean? Everyone expects that I will be always in disagreement. Always. Whatever the team is agreeing on, no, I will be against, right? Why it is important? Because this person is presenting different perspective. So we are learning it's okay and is expected to share different perspective. But also, devil's advocate is a powerful technique to challenge the decision, to double check whether we want to do it or not. If you rotate that, so for instance, for a sprint or for this week, this person, for another and the next person, people can create a habit of challenging each other. And one day, maybe this sharing this different point of view will become a part of our routine. So before I let you ask some questions, and I hope that we will be able to gather some, if I'm asked what is the most important thing that I hope you will take from this webinar, is that psychological safety is not a buzzword. It's a secret ingredient, and secret in the sense that unfortunately I think it's not so common topic in many of the companies, many environments. But it is already proven that you may have knowledge, skills, right? Maybe you attended PSM, PSPO, different classes, right? And if something is still missing, please do not give up on Scrum yet. Maybe it won't work for you, that's fine. But before you make this decision, please try to incorporate this topic of psychological safety on the top. Because maybe this will be something that will unleash talent and help you maximize the value. So, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. And time for questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joanna. That was great. So there are a ton of questions. We aren't going to have time for all of them, but we can connect after this and figure out a way for you to address these out in a different format. So first question I want to ask you, a few people asked about the book on psychological safety. What was that first book that you recommended?
Of course, it's Fearless Organization, but by Professor Amy Edmondson.
All right, thank you. And This next question, so in your experience, what are the most useful techniques or practices to create a psychologically safe environment in your team and organization?
Great question. It's not only my experience, but also experience of my colleagues who are also psychological safety experts. I think that the topic of errors, mistakes, failures is one of the biggest one. So this is a blocker, for instance, when I hear, oh, but it sounds great, this product discovery, idea, but how do we do that? People will be afraid, right? So in my experience, showing that making intelligent errors is fine is a very powerful technique. The best that I have seen leaders, formal or informal ones, admitting that they made a mistake, sharing learnings, asking others about feedback, right? So I promise we will connect to feedback, right? So it is also here, right? So if the leader is presenting very strong behaviors, showing it is okay, then wonderful. So Scrum Masters, if you want to create impact, this is a great opportunity for you. Talk to leaders. If they present it's okay to make certain types of mistake, it's a really powerful signal.
Awesome. Thank you. I hope that helps. So another question here, how do you handle situation if a supervisor is constantly giving a different opinion and direction than the Scrum Master? In this case, the supervisor wants to run everything his way.
That's a great question. And actually, I would ask more questions as the answer to that. If he or she is presenting different point of view, that actually might be great, right? Because we gain different perspectives. What will be my potential worry is that is this leader, supervisor creating right conditions for self-management and we can maintain psychological safety or not? Because if not, and this is something that is related to his or her belief, like this is how we should do that, I have the final word, maybe it's not a matter of you now talking about psychological safety, but maybe this leader needs a good mentor. In my experience, a lot of companies send employees for trainings, but leaders, they don't have time for training. And sometimes this is the best what we can do to create a solution idea for somebody helping this leader grow, because I believe it might be a matter of maybe some beliefs that are not functional in this context, right? Maybe he or she possesses great skills, but we need to help them grow in their role too.
Awesome. Thank you. One more, we'll try to squeeze it in. As a Scrum Master or Agile coach, are there some tips that you have on how we can promote or improve psychological safety in teams?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I would maybe instead, it depends on the situation, but I would not promote just psychological safety. I would use some of the learnings. So we shared today some ideas, and I would check if you believe that maybe candor is a challenge. So how to increase candor. It will be connected with trust. So if you are looking for more tools, there is a good 5 dysfunction of the team plus how to overcome 5 dysfunctions by the team. First dysfunction in this model is lack of trust. In the book, there are some tips, tricks, how to work towards that. So although it's trust, not psychological safety, this particular book, the second part, so how to overcome, can help you a lot. So pick tools, pick ideas. If I were you, I would rather look for presenting this topic as through the lenses of outcomes because in my experience, some of the people react like psychological safety. What, right? So maybe focus on outcomes and look for tools. That another book might be also an inspiration.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So we are at our time, but there are a ton of unanswered questions. So we will figure out a way to get those addressed. We have captured them all. So please be patient with us. We will figure out a way, I promise. So thank you so much, Joanna, for sharing your wisdom today. This was awesome. I learned a lot myself. So thank you, everybody, for attending. Thank you, Joanna, and we will be in touch soon. Scrum on.
Scrum on. Thank you, everyone.